which is a non-melanoma skin cancer. It's fairly common, it's fairly common. So I was really surprised when she said it came back as melanoma.
Which is a non-melanoma skin cancer. It's fairly common, it's fairly common. So I was really surprised when she said it came back as melanoma. Norah O'Donnell, the award-winning CBS news anchor, has just dropped shocking news that's making headlines. After years of gracing our screens with her commanding presence, Norah has announced that she's saying goodbye. This was an unexpected announcement that has left everyone shocked, but it doesn't end there, as she revealed that she's facing a tragic health diagnosis that will prevent her from continuing her career. It was over Thanksgiving and Dr. Hale had said to me, "I'll call you after the Thanksgiving." What makes her announcement even more heartbreaking is that Norah blames herself for this tragic health diagnosis. What could this health diagnosis be? Stay with us as we uncover the heartbreaking details. Norah O'Donnell's tragic diagnosis. CBS evening news anchor and managing editor Norah O'Donnell has opened up about her scary health diagnosis. Just the week before Thanksgiving, Norah visited the dermatologist for her routine skin check. This was something she hadn't done in a couple of years. However, she decided to do it, and the results she received were shocking. What was this tragic health diagnosis? Keep watching to find out. While holiday shopping, Norah received a disturbing email from her doctor. "I'm sorry to bother you during the holiday, but your biopsy came back and we need to talk." Norah was shocked by this email. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked for somewhere to sit. She quickly forwarded the mail to her sister, who tried to reassure her that things were going to be all right. It was probably nothing serious, maybe basal or squamous cell carcinoma, Norah's sister replied. These were a common type of skin cancer that Norah's parents had been diagnosed with in the past, and it was manageable, so it wasn't something Norah had to be worried about. However, this didn't help Norah. She was scared of the results. Why couldn't the results wait till Monday? Why did it have to come now? She asked herself. Desperate for an answer, Norah picked up her phone and called her dermatologist, Elizabeth K. Hale, Maryland. The doctor informed Norah that the biopsy result had confirmed melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer. Norah was stunned, and all she wanted to do was crawl under and hide. Norah explained that she had heard about the word melanoma, and she knew it was an aggressive and fast-moving skin cancer that people die from. This made Norah scared, and she was lost in her thoughts. Was she going to die? Stick around to find out. Dr. Hale asked Norah if she could hear him after a long silence on the phone. Norah snapped back to the moment as she listened to Dr. Hale's voice and walked through the Black Friday crowds towards the exit. Her mind was reeling, and her chest was constricting as she sobbed. Later, in the June issue of Good Housekeeping, Norah revealed her inner turmoil. She couldn't understand how this could have happened to her. She had taken good care of herself. Was this somehow her fault? Why had she waited to get my checkup? Norah blamed herself for the tragic diagnosis she had. But what was next? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into Norah's fight against melanoma. Although Norah O'Donnell was devastated and heartbroken by her diagnosis, she soon received some good news that gave her hope. Dr. Hale informed Norah that melanoma was curable since they caught it early. Without wasting time, Norah decided she wanted surgery as soon as possible. When Norah reached her car, she looked at the report on her phone. It confirmed the diagnosis as melanoma in situ. The translation of the Latin in situ means in place, in this case on the surface of her skin. This meant Norah's melanoma was in the epidermis, the most superficial layer of skin. It had not yet penetrated the dermis, where the blood and lymph vessels through which cancer cells can spread fast to the rest of the body. It accounts for just 1% of skin cancer cases, but the majority of deaths, meaning it was a stage 0 cancer, not life-threatening. Being a journalist, Norah immediately researched to learn about her diagnosis. She learned that melanoma was the deadliest form of skin cancer, responsible for the leading cause of skin cancer deaths in young women. However, she also realized that she could have prevented the cancer all along if only she had visited the dermatologist regularly and made better choices. Looking back, Norah O'Donnell recalled that while she grew up in San Antonio, the summer temperature was sometimes 100 degrees. This made her go to the pool to cool down with her friends without applying sunscreen. Also, in high school, she frequently visited the tanning salon, especially before prom. But how did all these habits put her at the risk of melanoma? Dr. Hale explained that people who had their first indoor tan before age 35 had a 75% higher chance of developing melanoma. Even more alarming, more people develop skin cancer because of tanning than they develop lung cancer because of smoking. Aside from these external risk factors, O'Donnell had several additional risk factors, including a family history of melanoma, fair skin, and moles. Norah's surgery was scheduled for a few weeks later, allowing the biopsy site to heal first. In the meantime, O'Donnell, being a mother, decided to tell her children about her health diagnosis. She sat down with her 3 kids, Riley, 8, and twins Henry and Grace, 9, and explained her health diagnosis. The kids were filled with curiosity, fear, and lots of questions. They feared their mother was going to die, but O'Donnell assured them she wouldn't die from the surgery. That night, Norah felt guilty as she worried about what her children were thinking of as they slept that night. After the new year, O'Donnell went to Dr. Hale's office to have the cancer removed. The doctor cut a 3-inch long piece of skin from the upper left corner of her back. The incision required 25 stitches to close and careful monitoring during the healing process. Norah got a lot of help from her kids, who took turns putting the healing ointment on the scar on her back. After the successful surgery, Dr. Hale emphasized that Norah was very lucky. "So, I'm so grateful that we caught your melanoma early, Norah. As you know, you have many of the risk factors. You grew up in Texas where it was very sunny. If they hadn't been quick to notice the melanoma, the situation would have been worse than the simple surgery they had, as the mole was progressing." Thankfully, Norah O'Donnell had decided to visit the dermatologist before Thanksgiving, and today she's still alive to grace our television screens. While discussing her experience with CBS this morning, Norah emphasized the importance of getting a skin check with a dermatologist at least once a year so that early detection could be done to prevent melanoma from reaching the advanced stage when it becomes incurable. However, for those with some melanoma risk factors, Dr. Hale recommended visiting a dermatologist once a year. "You know, it was over Thanksgiving and Dr. Hale had said to me, 'I'll call you after the Thanksgiving.'" A few months later, after the successful surgery, Norah's scar remained bright red on her back. You'd see it if she wore a strapless dress. Although Norah is aware that the scar will likely always be there, she chose to see it as a reminder that early detection saves lives, just like it saved hers. She also said that while the scar represented the end of a scary chapter in her life, it also marked the beginning of a new wellness journey. But Norah's journey doesn't end here with the surgery. Keep watching as we unveil more of Norah O'Donnell's story. Despite having a successful recovery, which is a non-melanoma skin cancer, it's fairly common, it's fairly common. Norah O'Donnell continued to see Dr. Hale every 3 to 4 months for checkups. Dr. Hale observes Norah during each visit, which often results in multiple biopsies. For instance, during her last appointment, she had 2 biopsies. Norah joked that her body was beginning to look like a moon full of craters. When she shared this with her father, he said, "Better craters than cancer." To this day, Norah keeps up with her regular checkups as she continues to grace our screens as the host of CBS Evening News, as she no longer has to say goodbye to us. But then something unexpected happened that led to Norah O'Donnell's final goodbye to the CBS Evening News. What could it be? Let's find out. Norah O'Donnell bids farewell to CBS News. While still visiting the dermatologist every 3 to 4 months, Norah O'Donnell had posted on her Instagram story that her final days as the host of CBS Evening News were coming to an end. She shared this announcement while filming at the news studio, leaving viewers stunned. Why did Norah, who had graced our screens as the anchor for CBS Evening News for 12 years, decide to leave CBS? Was this due to a worsened health condition, or was CBS laying her off? Stay tuned to find out. Just recently, Norah announced that she would be anchoring the evening news for another 2 months through Inauguration Day and encouraged viewers to keep tuning in as she marked her final days on their screens. This was surprising. For the past 5 years, O'Donnell had headlined the evening show, but then came the unexpected news of her exit. While explaining the reason for her decision, She said it was time to do something different, as the presidential election, which Donald Trump won after being sworn in, President Trump declared, quote, "America's decline is over," would mark her 7th year as a journalist. For many other journalists like her in the business, they tend to look at their careers in terms of these milestones and events. O'Donnell's last day as anchor of CBS Evening News was scheduled for January 24th. However, there was a change in the arrangement, as CBS was scheduled to air the Farmers Insurance PM to 8 p.m. that evening. Meanwhile, the O'Donnell program was scheduled for 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. You know the CBS Evening News is for good reason the longest-running evening newscast in America. But this didn't happen. Instead, she said her final goodbye to the show on Thursday, January 23rd. CBS, however, wanted O'Donnell's final show to be a full national broadcast, so they did something unique. During Donald Trump's inauguration, O'Donnell stayed at the anchor desk to helm the program. This marked her final goodbye to CBS Evening News. But that wasn't all. Norah O'Donnell had a special send-off. As many of you know, this is my final evening news broadcast on Thursday night broadcast, with a special guest, Oprah Winfrey. Winfrey surprised O'Donnell by appearing on the show for half an hour, sometimes 40 minutes. A producer be like, "Oh my God, when is she going to let go of the audience? What I really want is to have a conversation." Winfrey was in charge of Norah O'Donnell's send-off. She praised O'Donnell for the incredible impact she made throughout her career. A montage that included O'Donnell's best interviews was played on the screen as a recap of Norah O'Donnell's time on CBS Evening News. Winfrey described Norah's dedication as rare. "And I'm told we have a surprise guest. Honestly, I don't know who it is," to help us look back, saying that Norah had treated each story with grace and compassion, putting world events into context, offering a hug, a little laughter, and a whole lot of smiles along the way. This was a heartfelt tribute. In response, O'Donnell recalled her time as the anchor of the CBS Evening News and called it an honor of a lifetime. She also thanked the viewers for trusting and welcoming hard news with heart into their homes. The CBS Evening News crew surrounded O'Donnell's desk and gave her a round of applause as the broadcast began wrapping up. Norah ended the show that evening by saying, "I'll miss you too, so for the final time, that's tonight's CBS Evening News. I owe it all to everyone I work with. Seriously, love you. Good night." This marked the last time Norah O'Donnell appeared on CBS Evening News. But what was going to happen next? Who would replace the irreplaceable Norah O'Donnell, who had graced our screens with her extraordinary voice and unique journalistic attitude? There are so many people that work hard to put that broadcast on every night. You see the correspondents out in the field, the editors. New hosts for CBS Evening News. CBS made a change to the evening news program following O'Donnell's exit from the show. They did a full revamp of the program starting on January 27th. John Dickerson and Maurice Dubois would anchor the evening news from the show's new home at the CBS Broadcast Center in New York. Also, CBS News chief foreign affairs correspondent and Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan would anchor political and foreign affairs coverage from Washington, D.C., what was happening in the world, either through the television set or through the New York Times on Sunday morning reading it, while weather coverage would be handled by Lonnie Quinn. Unlike before, when Norah O'Donnell managed everything, this time the program responsibility would be shared by 4 different people. The change in the program schedule came after the show was broadcast from D.C. for the last 5 years. But where did this leave O'Donnell? Although O'Donnell was leaving CBS Evening News, she wasn't leaving the network completely. She had been moved to a higher role in CBS. Currently, Norah O'Donnell is now a senior correspondent contributing to special reports, big interviews, and investigations for 60 Minutes, CBS News Sunday Morning, and other CBS programs. For joining us tonight, there's a great legacy here at CBS News of the finest journalist. In a statement released by News CEO Wendy McMahon, he specially thanked Norah for her exceptional work on the evening news over the past 5 years. He expressed gratitude that she decided to continue working with them through the election despite the announcement made ahead of her departure. She didn't stop working with them, but stayed with them till the last moment, upholding her duties as a devoted journalist. CEO Wendy McMahon added that Norah's new role would allow her to contribute across CBS and Paramount, allowing the world to see more of the groundbreaking stories and interviews that have been the hallmark of her career. Norah's new position as a senior correspondent also gave her the flexibility to leverage big bookings on numerous platforms. This was a significant opportunity for Norah O'Donnell, and she had embraced it. But one thing is for sure, the viewers are going to miss Norah's presence as the host of CBS Evening News. Let's take a look at some of memorable moments with CBS. Norah O'Donnell has had numerous memorable moments throughout her career as a CBS anchor. One of the most memorable moments was her interview with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This interview marked a pivotal moment in O'Donnell's career, as it was the first time in 13 years that a U.S. television network had interviewed a Saudi leader, granting full exclusive access to one of the Middle East's most influential figures. O'Donnell traveled to Saudi Arabia for a week and interviewed Crown Prince Mohammed for 60 minutes. This was Prince Mohammed bin Salman's first U.S. television interview. Norah O'Donnell asked him some sensitive and controversial questions, including the country's role in the civil war in Yemen, as well as its relationship with Iran, human rights abuses, and the country's chief rival in the region. This interview not only highlighted O'Donnell's skill as an exceptional interviewer, but also solidified her reputation as a journalist capable of securing and conducting high-stakes interviews with world leaders. Another unforgettable moment was when she secured an interview with Vice President Joe Biden in 2016. Although she had been offered a few minutes to have an interview with him, O'Donnell turned down at least 2 interview opportunities with Joe Biden. This was because she wanted a long, in-depth sit-down interview with Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. After several persistent attempts, she finally got what she wanted, a full interview. O'Donnell interviewed Biden and his wife for 60 minutes. Notably, this turned out to be the first interview Biden sat for after he decided not to run for president. Mr. President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years, yeah. Even though everyone thought he would run after Barack Obama, this also marked the first extended interview the Bidens did following the passing of their son Beau Biden over the summer. But it doesn't end there. This interview led to O'Donnell being recognized and awarded by the White House. Norah O'Donnell received the award of the White House Correspondents Association Merriman Smith Memorial Award in Broadcast Journalism. O'Donnell received this award because of her consistency and perseverance in securing high-profile interviews like the interview she secured with Biden and his wife for 60 minutes instead of a few minutes. Interestingly, Norah confessed that there wasn't a day in 2016 that she didn't email Biden's chief of staff, the communication staff, the White House press secretary, close friends of the vice president, and even the president himself. She pursued this for 4.5 years until she got the interview with Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden. But that's not all. Another notable interview was Norah's interview with Pope Francis. This was a surprising moment, as it was one of the few in-depth interviews with a sitting pope aired on a U.S. broadcast network. It was also the first of its kind in a long time, as Pope Francis was usually busy granting such interviews. The 60 Minutes interview provided a unique opportunity for the Pope to speak directly to the viewers on several contemporary issues that have been raised in the past, like the same-sex blessing. During Pope Francis's discussion with O'Donnell, he clarified the controversial declaration issued by the Vatican's Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith that included guidelines on the blessing of same-sex couples. However, Pope Francis clarified that he didn't allow blessings of the union of the same-sex couples, but of each person. These are some of Norah O'Donnell's high-profile and exclusive interviews. However, before Norah became a prolific television anchor, let's take a look at her journey and how she achieved this great peak in her career. Norah O'Donnell's rise to fame. Norah Morahan O'Donnell was born on January 23, 1974, to Irish parents Noreen Bernadette and Francis Lawrence O'Donnell. 3 of her grandparents were immigrants, and her maternal grandfather lived in the U.S. illegally for 16 years. However, when Norah was 3 years old, her family moved to San Antonio, Texas. A few years later, they moved to Seoul, where she started her career in broadcasting at an elementary school. Norah videotaped English lessons for the Korean Educational Development Institute before her family moved back to San Antonio. In this duplex, I lived here with my 3 siblings and my parents. Norah attended Douglas MacArthur High School and graduated in 1991. She then went on to attend Georgetown University, graduating in 1995 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in philosophy and a Master of Arts degree in liberal studies in 2003. Shortly after graduation, Norah began to work as a staff writer for Roll Call, covering Congress. Next, she spent 12 years of her career at the NBC network. She began as a commentator for The Today Show, chief Washington correspondent for MSNBC, and a White House correspondent for NBC News. O'Donnell was also a contributing anchor for MSNBC Live and an anchor on Weekend Today. But it doesn't end there. Norah had reported for various NBC News broadcasts, including NBC Nightly News. It was neat to go back, and I think it's important to remember, so many, it's not just soldiers who are overseas, their families. The Today Show, Dateline NBC, and MSNBC. She was also a regular pundit for The Chris Matthews Show. In July 2011, Norah O'Donnell joined CBS as a co-anchor for CBS This Morning, and ever since then she has served as anchor in several of its highest-rated shows. On May 6, 2019, O'Donnell was named anchor and managing editor of the CBS Evening News. She also became the lead anchor of political events for the network and continued as a contributing correspondent for 60 Minutes. Several other positions Norah has held at CBS include Chief White House Correspondent, CBS Evening News fill-in anchor, CBS This Morning co-anchor, 60 Minutes correspondent, CBS Evening News anchor and managing editor, CBS Overnight News anchor, and currently she's a senior correspondent at CBS. Norah O'Donnell's growth as a journalist has been remarkable and worthy of emulation, as she's a devoted woman who puts her all into her job. Her remarkable dedication and commitment. I'm so humbled. I'm honored to have worked with Gail for 7 years, have earned her numerous awards and global recognition. Let's take a look at some of them. Norah O'Donnell was named one of Washington's 100 most powerful women. She has also been named to Irish America magazine's Top 100 Irish Americans list. In September 2001, she won the Sigma Delta Chi Award for breaking news coverage for the Dateline NBC story DC in Crisis. In 2008, she won an Emmy for the outstanding live coverage of a breaking news story. In 2018, Norah was also awarded an Emmy for her 6-month investigation and report on sexual assault in the Air Force Academy for CBS This Morning in the category Outstanding Investigative Report in a Newscast. That same year, she was given an honorable recognition from the White House Correspondents Association for the Edgar Allan Poe Award. Currently, O'Donnell lives in Washington, D.C., and New York City's Upper West Side neighborhood with her husband, Jeff Tracy, owner of D.C. restaurant Chef Jeff's, whom she married in June 2001. They have been blessed with 3 children, Grace, Henry, and Riley. What do you think of Norah O'Donnell's health diagnosis and her resignation as the host of CBS Evening News? Do you think these new anchors will do a good job like Norah? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Remember to Norah's memorable moments as a TV host on CBS. Norah O'Donnell's top